Suicide in the veterinary practice. Suicide is a very prevalent issue in the veterinary field. Learning to understand how and why these deaths happen will give us the ability to better deal with and prevent suicide among our peers. In a study among 11,620 veterinarians who died between 1979 and 2015, male veterinarians were 2.1 times as likely, and female veterinarians were 3.5 times as likely to die from suicide than members of the general U.S. population. In suicide among male veterinarians, 51% used firearms and 33% overdosed, compared with female veterinarians, where 18% used firearms and 64% overdosed. In a study by Professor Tracy White, of the 202 veterinarians whose deaths were categorized as suicide between 2003 and 2014, 25% used pentobarbital. 89% of these deaths did not occur in the clinic. According to Indian J.N.S., pentobarbital is a drug used in veterinary medicine for the anesthesia and euthanasia of animals. Acute poisoning can be fatal due to cardiogenic shock and respiratory unrest secondary to its potent action on the respiratory center. As previously discussed, about 25% of suicides among veterinarians involved the use of pentobarbital, 89% in which of these occurred at the home. Stricter control of this substance in the clinic could lead to decreased suicide rates among veterinarians. Professor Tracy White states that most suicides involving pentobarbital occurred outside of the clinic and suggests that new guidelines and policies should be put in place involving the ability to remove pentobarbital from the clinic. Quoting Melinda Larkin, limiting access to lethal means is effective as the data shows that most people do not opt for another method. Dr. Motier cited a 2010 study that examined the rates of suicide after policy change in the Israeli Defensive Forces that reduced adolescents' access to firearms. Following the policy change, suicide rates decreased by 40%. A 2017 study by the online journal BMC Psychiatry states that people in jobs with access to firearms and fatal substances were more likely to use these methods to end their lives. Women in these types of jobs had suicide rates 3.0 times higher than those who did not, and for men, the increase was 1.24 times those who did not. Other reasons for suicide in the field. Office dynamics, communication, and personnel were listed as the greatest challenges faced by veterinary technicians in a study by the National Veterinary Technicians of America. In 2016, the following is a quote from Charlotte Wack. "For some reason I don't understand, many clinics have this mean girl culture. That is not to say that it is just women being mean. It means that for some reason or another, someone is targeted as not working fast enough, someone's skill set is not good enough, and team members are made fun of or talked about behind their backs. And when any of these targets seek help from management, they are called out as tattletales instead of helping or building that person up. They are often ignored and bullied by others in the practice. This has to stop." Another reason for distress among staff is clients. A lot of people go into veterinary medicine because they just don't like people that much. But a huge part of the job is client relations. Clients coming in are usually in a very vulnerable position. They are worried for their pets, and this may result in frantic behavior, including lashing out at staff. Learning to deal with these things is a very important task, not only for dealing with the client, but for the staff's mental well-being. The following is a list of signs that are important to look for if you are concerned that someone may be considering suicide. Changes in behavior, especially those that are out of character. Recklessness, such as overdrinking and speeding. Withdrawal from usual enjoyed activities. Visiting or calling people to say goodbye. Giving away prized possessions. Increased use of alcohol or drugs. And even a positive change, such as a sudden shift in mood to being seemingly more happy, can indicate, rather than signifying improvement, an acceptance of suicide as the answer to their problems. Here's how you can help someone struggling with thoughts of suicide. Approach the person, ask how they are feeling and if they are okay. Listen with compassion, show that you genuinely care. Ask if they have been struggling with thoughts of suicide. Find a crisis hotline and stay by their side as they make the call. If for some reason they refuse to call yourself for guidance on how to deal with the situation. Assure them that things can and will change, and stay with them and invite people they trust to stay with them to build up a good support system. It is important to look out for these things in your fellow employees. Being a part of a veterinary clinic is being a part of a team. Everyone needs to be able to effectively work together, and a lot of lives depend on the team that is built in the workplace. Creating a good support system for all employees and listening to their strife. Create a good support system and listen to their strife, and if you are the one struggling, reach out. Hopefully with a better understanding of suicide in the workplace and better prevention efforts, suicide rates among veterinary staff will continue to decrease. And these are a list of suicide hotlines and my reference page.